Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be in this crazy wide world. What we have here is another installment of New York by Night, The Vampire Venue. James Voorhies, still moving around the city of New York in his Rolls Royce Wraith, driven by none other than Mr. Lambrad, his trusted bodyguard, butler, and defender of the Camarilla, is taking him across the city. They found themselves in a car park when his child, Jonathan, calls him. He answers it over the speakerphone, later to be joined via video, Skyped in calls from Marquez and his new friend that he's making within the city. The scene begins. Jonathan and James answering the phone. Yes, good evening, this is James.
Yes, you tried to call me a couple of times.
Oh, yes, Jonathan, how are you this evening?
Hmm, I can't really complain.
How is the state of things? How is the Ventru clan establishing themselves? This Sabbat issues have been kept me very busy running around making phone calls and covering up stuff in person, more so than I wanted to do in the past.
Hmm, I haven't been paying too much attention to politics lately. I've been focusing my attention on the more pressing matters.
And which are?
My own businesses?
No, I figured it was Camarilla. Your business is your business.
Indeed. Has my child been unstaked already?
I believe so. I sent my, I think it's Chad, or Charles, off to go and take care of it. I know he unstaked Marquez for sure, but the Toreador whip is still locked up in a safe area. I need to do some interviewing with her to help strengthen certain positions within the city.
Hmm, hmm, I see. Makes sense, I suppose.
And at this time, James's Skype call goes off, and he answers it, turns the video on, and he sees none other than Marquez de la Toya is now on the Skype call, along with a patriot of his. Yes, Marquez, how are you this evening? I hope you found that your unstaking was pleasant.
Yes, it was. You have to make sure you give. I want to make sure to give Charles. I think that was his name. If I didn't catch it, but make sure you give him my courtesies. He was quite pleasant.
Hmm, very good. Good to hear. Also, it's Jonathan is here on the speakerphone as well, so pay him no mind if you don't mind.
Very well. I decided to make it this call this evening because I this past eve I was fortunate enough to meet a new arrive into the Big Apple. He's on with the here on the call. He introduced himself last night and he made his formal introduction to me as keeper. But in keeping with the Camarilla, I directed him that he needed to make formal introductions with you.
James touches a few buttons on the pad to his right and turns on the other screen. Yes, your name and you all.
My name, Your Highness, is Mr. Matthews. I belong to Clan Tremere.
Ah, good. It's good to have another Tremere back in the city. Have you found yourself meeting any of your others?
I have not. The only person I've met so far has been Marquez over here. Here. He was also nice enough to lend me shelter for the evening.
Oh,
I,
very well. Yes, you'll want to
After I
try to.
didn't... oh, forgive me, sir.
You'll
I
want
was,
to make sure you try to find Mr. Thursday. He's so far right now the active representative that I know of for Clan Tremere. Con- I have not been contacted in either other direction. So,
the main reason I was over here was
what was that? Sorry, I experienced a little bit of lag. Would you repeat yourself? The
the...
signal through here is shit.
I understand. No, my main reason for coming to New York was mainly on account of my sire. He told me to come here and did not tell me why. Um, Marquez has been the only kindred I have met at this point before you now, so
Excellent. Well, the first thing I want to make sure that you're aware of is we're trying, the Camarilla here is strengthened and we work as a whole. That is how it is always going to be from this point on. Granted, we are currently assaulted by Sabbat and other issues. There are a number of supernaturals also active in the area, but I leave that to Marquez to teach you what you need to know to stay alive.
Yes, my friends, I briefed him quickly on the threats, but I did not go into very graphic detail. He made it clear to me that he was very weary from his trip, so I saw to his wrist.
I do hope, though, I did not sleep and snore too loudly last night. Even as a dead man, I still have that habit.
We all have our habits that we can't get rid of.
I have noticed. Fortunately, this is a very small call right now, so yeah.
How long have you been a kindred?
Going on 215?
That's quite an impressive score, I'd have to admit. But, so then you are familiar. Do you hold any title or status within the Camarilla?
I do not. My mere status is a humble neonate amongst my clan.
I
Other
take it
than
you're calling us from the Chantry or one of them this evening?
no, I am actually, believe it or not, staying here right now in my van.
Technology, it's a wonder how we can have video conversations and vehicles that can create a mobile office.
To think, 200 years ago, I was still learning, I was still paying my way through most of Europe with puppet shows.
What are your talents
Which
and gifts that you bring to the, other than your Tremere talents, what are others that you bring to the table?
Well, that is kind of one of the good things about my gifts. I'll put it this way. Nature and me have a good bit of agreement.
That is
Particularly
interesting.
particularly wood.
Yes, very, very interesting indeed. Well, then what I suggest I ask you to do is there is, or should be, a Bruja professor. I can't remember his name right now. He works at one of not the New York University, but the other one. He is slated with finding any new neonates and getting them to work together and bring them to my parents. So you need to find him. I believe can't remember his name right off the top of my head.
My
Marquez.
my lord, I believe his name is Mr. Furious Wild, if I am not mistaken.
No, Furios is the sheriff right now. My sworn protector of the family. No, it's another Bruja scholar. Not sure.
Those are still around? Wow.
Yes, he likes to
How
go
much have we
through
gotten done?
books and make sure that no old ancient texts have any type of breaches within the masquerade, and he sifts through all these old texts and changes them left and right as he goes.
I have a feeling me and this man will very much get along.
But yes, you'll find him, and then also you're going to want to find Mr. Thursday, who is another member of your clan, who is the active representative. The Elysium should be getting back up and going very soon. Scheduling has been a bear lately, so we will find a way to make it work to get that set up. Um,
Sounds like I arrived in town just in time.
Things should start changing rather quickly. But as Keeper of Elysium, Marquez, you should have new information for me that I can use for what is going on within the city. Do you have anything to report?
Only a few things. The reconstruction of the Groove nightclub is currently underway. We have begun work to reestablish Princess Elysium. We are also in the process, or I shall say not much so much the clan. I am also in the process of currently locating additional and safe, and I'll reiterate that word, safe alternate Elysium locations. It is, I believe, in the best interest of the Camarilla, the best interest of the prince, that Elysium shall be rotating. What with the Sabbats suddenly deciding that the Tower of the Clan of the Kings is a excellent target.
Yes, excellent. What news of the council, if any, do you have?
Unfortunately, I have not had the moment to officially meet with any other council members. It honestly has escaped my mind, but there is one interesting note that you may wish to know. Your nephew made contact with me a few nights ago. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Your uncle, my apologies, made contact with me a couple nights ago, Mr. Peterson. His intentions were not clear. He only met for roughly 10, 15 minutes, and he went over a few things, basically in a attempt to organize the Camarilla, something I believe that you already are working on, and he vanished into the night. And where he went from there, I have no idea.
So you're saying that he is back within the city then?
Well, I don't know that he's back in the city permanently, but he did visit my haven, and he did mention visiting the other members of the council.
Which is probably why I have not heard anything from them in quite some time. Jonathan, do you know anything about this?
Mm, none whatsoever. But what I do know is that when we did our raid on one of the Sabbat locations, we found the map with Ventru and Toreador locations marked. So there may be an infiltrator, or may have been an infiltrator in our midst.
Marquez's face on the screen instantly goes from the somber content look that he had to a look of utter concern. Well, actually, that may tie back to an earlier occasion. There was some time ago there was an elder who called himself a Luther who attempted to infiltrate us, but This is information that's new to me as well. This I will bring this up at the next meeting of the roads, which will be soon.
Perhaps it was the traitor Delano.
Perhaps, but in these times of warring factions, you can never be too sure who may be trying to, for lack of a better term, come in the back door.
Indeed.
Also, given the nature of some clans, possibly would not hurt to look at this from a magical standpoint. They might have hired someone who would be able to trace those locations using methods that are, shall we say, more arcane in nature.
That's going to be a possibility, though. I am not that schooled in the occult. I recently met with a friend not too long ago, an old buddy of mine who now apparently seems to be part of the major circle that act in the city.
It may be then, my lord, that you may wish to go check with him, or he may know something a little bit better about this.
Well, him and I have an understanding right now. Well, I have to make sure that I present him with information based around this parent Fey destruction force that will be coming through. Apparently, this horrible dream thing is supposed to be attacking, and the mages are trying to figure it out. I don't know what it is, but he brought it up where if I got him any information, he would help me. So, does any of you here know of any information of acting Fey or otherwise?
I cannot I cannot speak on any Fae as I have not met any that I'm aware they were Fae. The only contact I've had with the other supernaturals in the city has been with the wolves, and I have I have met, but not I would not say allied with any of the demon representatives.
Uh,
Perhaps Mr. Silas may know more about that than I.
well, as you mentioned werewolves, you actually see Matthew's face look at you and is like, I'm downright impressed. You have managed to meet wolves and not come back in pieces.
Well, what can I say? The Toreador have their ways.
How many of them did you have to screw?
We'll talk about that later.
But, Jonathan, have you heard anything on the fairy circuit?
None whatsoever. I suspect Mr. Silas knows more.
Then it seems I need to find Mr. Silas, and him and I need to have a chat then. Maybe a ride through the park in the evenings. Very well. Well, it is good to have you. What was your name again? I apologize.
You may call... I prefer it to be called Mr. Matthews. It's the name, it's the title, for lack of a better word, that my sire gave me. It's one I carry with pride.
Excellent. Then I won't call you Matthews. Mr. Matthews, welcome to the city of New York. Carry out those things that I have asked you to do, and keep your ear to the ground of any type of interesting arcana that's going to be coming this way, and make sure if you do find out some, you get back to me within a reasonable amount of time.
I will say this, Prince. Keep an eye out. If you hear anything about any puppet shows, please do not hesitate to come watch. Chances are you may find something a little bit more interesting than just some string.
I will keep that in mind. If there's no further business this evening, I have other stuff I have to attend to, so is there any other need for me?
Only one other thing, Mr. Voorhies. This is assuming that Mr. Matthews does not disagree to this. as the acting Femigen of the Toreador, I would extend clan friendship of the Toreador to Mr. Matthews. Clan friendship meaning the ability for Mr. Matthews to set in on the meetings of the roles as well as to partake of the club groove whenever needed, as well as my own Haven. At least until he has the time to get up on his feet and get into better accomplishments, because let's face it, Mr. Matthews, living in a van is not the nicest thing you could do.
This is very true. I would, I personally would gladly take this. However, if it is within, as you said, Mr. Voorhies' decision, if he chooses to deny this, I will understand.
I have no reason to deny anything. It is always Marquez to be the first to extend irons of friendships and traditions. So, if he wants this so, I trust his judgment enough to allow him to do what he wishes.
Mr. Matthews, for the, let's say, coming week, I will book several rooms in different hotels. Choose whichever you want. Just call ahead, say Mr. Matthews wishes to have a room. It shall be arranged.
Thank you, sir.
There's no need for someone to be in a van.
Again, sirs, I do thank you.
Excellent.
It
Thank
is
you.
it is glad to know that some traditions have not been forgotten.
Yes. We try to adhere to them as best we can these few nights.
Also, Mr. Voorhees, I don't know how I will get it to you, but I do have a gift for you whenever you are able to pick it up.
Oh, gifts. Sure, yes, that's fine.
As I see you are a busy man, I will contact you at a later date to arrange pickup, but that is all I have for the evening.
Thank you, gentlemen, and good evening.
Thank you, and to you.
Marquez, as always, I look forward to seeing and talking to you again later.
Indeed.
Now, Jonathan,
Yes.
what has been happening these past few nights? You seem rather secretive. I don't care about your business, but I want to know if there's any other business that I need to be concerned with in the city. You are a siren, after all, are you not?
Am I? I
Last I
thought
heard,
that,
you were.
lest I heard, the harpy was no longer a harpy, so I don't know who the current harpy is and who his sirens are.
So you don't have any of your well, you don't have any contacts then?
I've been out of touch with Kindred Society for a while. I do know that a man calling himself the Crimson Rose tried his hand at robbing a jewelry store.
Eh,
He wasn't very smart about it.
well, I can't really slate anybody for wanting to try to rob something unless they've completely fucked it up by exposing the masquerade.
Using obfuscation in a room with cameras is always a bad idea.
Oh, fucking idiots. Doesn't anybody other than the Nosferatu know how to use it with any type of intelligence behind it?
Normally, one would expect to use obfuscate before going into the room.
Now, doesn't anybody other than know how to use obfuscate with any bit of intelligence?
I only know of a couple of people in the city. But no obfuscation that that's Mrs. Silas and that Crimson Crow fellow. No, scratch that. Brock Shockneck is also one who knows obfuscation.
He's still around. I thought he'd be staked and dust by now.
No, he is showing his worth, I suppose.
Well, I can't slate him for actually being useful now, can I?
No. Do we have any idea when our uncle, Jan Peterson, will be returning to the city?
Well, he should be. As far as it sounds, Marquez made it sound like he is already currently here. And it's not like Jan to go and visit one person and then just skip town. He's a little bit more Jewish with his money than that.
Hmm. I wonder.
I'm sure he's skulking in the background in the darknesses and planning some type of a thing. If he doesn't want to take center stage and allow me to handle all the crap still, I am completely fine with that. I don't hold it any problem. I'd be more than happy to get back into Seneschal versus being a Prince Tempore. I hate that term.
Hmm. Yes, I never cared for a temporary title. Makes no sense.
You know, it's either be it is or be it not. That's how it should be.
Indeed.
Well, it seems we've had ourselves a good, interesting evening. Would you like to get together for drinks later?
Perhaps. I'm quite busy.
Well,
I might.
just send your schedule to Lambrad, and I'm sure he'll make sure I get it, and we'll set up a time.
That should work out just fine. By the way, one of the Splut that attacked us at the Elysium, he's dead.
Which one? The stupid one or the ugly one?
The one who likes to play with matches.
Oh, good. The stupid one.
Yes, he burned down a abandoned hotel with a lot of us inside. I got quite hurt in the process.
Are you going to
Part
be
of the
alright?
yes, but it is part of the reason why I have been inactive.
I have found myself being more hung up with all this extra garbage going around politics, internal affairs, meeting with my contacts and allies to make sure they stay my bedfellows. This is a lot of work. I'm going to have to keep these contacts as best as I can. I have tried to do some covering up. I'm sure the attacks are fine, but right now we have apparently keep your ear to the ground about anything with this Fae and Attack the Dreaming stuff that could be happening soon.
Alright.
And then let me know if you hear anything, because I need to pass it along to my associates so that I can begin some training in the occults.
Yes, I suppose that should work out just fine. We'll be talking to you later. And with that, he hangs up the phone.
And James hangs it up, turns to Mr. Lambrad, and says, "Time for us to head off. Let's make our way to the next appointment on the schedule." Lambrad, "Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Making the adjustments to your schedule now, sir, and we'll take off as soon as possible." "Thank you, Lambrad. Let's keep this carriage moving. I'm sure we'll need to get fuel soon." "No, sir. I've already filled up last time you were out of the vehicle." "Excellent. Well, then let's move on, shall we?" And James drives off in his Rolls-Royce Wraith with his trusted driver, Lambrad. The scene ends.